You may be wondering why you haven't seen me on the channel for a while, and the reason is very simple. I've been under house arrest, and no, that's not for crimes against cycling or even that I've upset those anonymous keyboard warriors, although, yeah, there's plenty of time for that. No, the fact of the matter is that I've become a statistic. And what do I mean by that? Well, about 10 days ago, Diana, who's my other half, tested positive for, well, let's just say a trending illness. And then a couple of days later, I also tested positive for the same illness. And the long and the short of it is that I've had to isolate here for 5 days. And the rules here in the UK are that once you've done that, you can only return to what passes for society these days once you've presented 2 negative tests 48 hours apart. And I've yet to do that. I'm still testing positive, and as you can hear, I still have symptoms. So obviously I'm not ready to go out and face the world yet, or the world's probably not ready for me to go out and mix amongst normal people. So for the moment, I'm going to have to stay in and just do my time for my house arrest. Now, obviously, that's going to have some massive implications for my cycling, not least because I'm also doing this 90-day Woodruff challenge where I'm trying to ride every single day for 90 days. And yes, I'm not going to hide it, it's making life a little bit difficult at the moment. The rules regarding self-isolation are pretty straightforward here in the UK. You're not allowed to leave the property for 5 days. And okay, if I wanted to go out for a bike ride, you could argue that if I were to go out and ride on these quiet little country lanes in the middle of nowhere and not come into contact with anybody, then I'm not really doing any harm. And yes, I agree, you're preaching to the choir there, sister. I'm with you 100%. But the fact of the matter remains that I'm not allowed to leave the house, and if I were to get caught, then I'd probably end up with a massive fine, and I could really do without that at the moment. And if nothing else, when I started to feel a little bit ill, I developed a temperature, sore throat, and my chest was tight. I just didn't fancy going out and riding my bike of any distance at all. Now, that said, I did fulfill the minimum requirements of the Woodruff challenge. I went out into my garage and I did the minimum 1 kilometre on the turbo trainer. But today, as you can see, I'm wearing cycling kit, and that means that I feel well enough to be able to do something slightly more than the minimum 1 kilometre. Welcome to my rather chaotic garage. I'm going to do a very short turbo training session using my smart trainer and the Brighton S500 cycling computer. And the reason I'm using the Brighton is because it will communicate with the smart trainer and allow me to ride one of my regular road rides. And today's route is going to be just the first 10 kilometres of the Southwark route. So let's get to it. I'm rather pleasantly surprised with that. As you can see, I've ridden 10 kilometres, so it's not a particularly long ride, and I didn't ride it at a particularly hard pace, but it's the first ride in about 10 days that I've done that's been more than 1 kilometre, and as you can probably hear, I am quite tight-chested and out of breath, but I thought I would be a lot worse than this. So hopefully when I get back out on the road and start doing real rides, it's not going to be quite as bad as I imagine it's going to be. I thought having this particular illness was going to be a lot worse than it actually was. I had visions of having to stay in bed and feeling rather ill, and as it turned out, it was like having flu or a particularly bad cold. In fact, I've had chest infections that have been a lot worse. Obviously, symptoms are going to vary with different people, and for instance, Di, although she was testing positive, she had no symptoms whatsoever. Luckily for her, she's been testing negative for the last 3 or 4 days now, and she went back to work, leaving me in the house all on my own. When we were in the house together, the biggest challenge was just trying to get through it all. And all we did there was ordered a load of home shopping for delivery, so we had plenty of food in the house. We sparked up Netflix and settled in for a 5-day box set festival and did our best to try not to drive each other nuts. When I do eventually start testing negative and I'm allowed back out into the world again properly, the plan is just to ease into the rides again very gently. Before I got ill, I was doing rides between about 20 and 30 kilometres at, you know, a fairly comfortable pace, and I'll try and get back and do those as soon as possible, plus also then try and extend my endurance and extend my speed a little bit. I've got some events coming up that I really do need to be fit for, and time is running out for those, so hopefully I will be back on the road as soon as possible. If you'd like to watch some more videos that will help you get the most out of your cycling, then click on the one just here. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.